It is time to re-enter the gaming grid. Welcome to Click, I'm Spencer Kelly, and welcome to downtown Los Angeles. Hollywood is 7 miles in that direction, but you feel the showbiz glow from here. It's even making me look slightly less repulsive than normal. But for 1 week every year, the biggest thing in town doesn't come from there, it comes from here, the LA Convention Center, because this is where the video games industry lets rip. It is time for E3. We'll bring you all the big announcements from the show, of course, and we'll get strapped into the goggles everyone wants to wear this year. The rest of your gaming wardrobe's covered too, from chest to toe. Last year, all the talk was about the launch of the PS4 and the Xbox One. But now they're here, and this year, a lot of the excitement is not based around the game's machines, but about what we'll be watching the games on. Never mind your massive screens, something more immersive has re-emerged. Virtual reality has reared its head again, which means for Mark Chislak and myself, it is time to enter the grid.
Virtual reality, computer-generated worlds which are completely immersive for the viewer. All the rage 30 years ago, and what was acceptable in the 80s is making a comeback. But if they didn't catch on then, why should they catch on today? Facebook certainly thinks that virtual reality has got legs. It's shelling out $2 billion for VR startup Oculus Rift, an outfit which has designed a headset for use with PCs and possibly consoles. Sony's thrown its virtual hat, or should that be headset, into the ring with this, dubbed Project Morpheus. It's a VR peripheral for the PlayStation 4. Morpheus has these lights on the front of it, which the PlayStation camera uses to figure out where the helmet is pointing. It also has 2 high-res screens inside and a band which is adjustable for a comfortable fit. The headset itself is a little bit on the heavy side. I'm not sure I'd be keen on wearing it for too long. One of the things which has hampered VR in the past is lag, or images the player sees taking a bit of time to catch up with their actual movements. In order to avoid this, the headset plugs into this box here, which manages most of the number crunching and processing required to create a lag-free experience. This means the actual PS4 console is left to worry about the gaming side of the equation. I put this to the test in the next demo, which requires an unusual peripheral, a beanbag. Now I'm quite lucky because this particular demo hasn't been seen by anybody outside of the development team yet. It's a street luge experience. Now this isn't a passive experience, I am actually controlling my movement by tipping my head left or right. This is really, really strange because I'm lying down and I can see a visual representation of my body in front of me. I'm almost convinced that that is my real body. But there's a strange disconnect between what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. If I move my hand, I almost expect that my on-screen hand should be moving as well. And that is a testament to how convincing this experience is. This isn't really a game as such, but this is the development team at Sony playing with what they can do with virtual reality, seeing how far they can push this technology before it hits prime time.
I think it has the potential to really be transformative in the way that we think about game experiences. It's by no means a final product at this stage. There's an awful lot more work to be done, I think, both on the software development as well as on the hardware development side. But we think there's a real potential there to push gaming into a new realm.
Oculus Rift may not have had a huge press conference, but the new kid on the block has plenty of games in the pipeline, notably VR third-person platformer Lucky's Tale, and the inventive time-freezing corridor-based combat of Superhot. 21-year-old Palmer Luckey is the brains behind Oculus Rift, and he doesn't think all types of games are appropriate for virtual reality.
The best games for any platform are almost always the games that were made for that platform, whether it's Wii or Kinect or a mobile game or a portable console. The best games are not ports from other systems, and the same thing goes for virtual reality as well. The best games are not PC or console games with the VR mode. They're games that were made with the strengths and weaknesses of virtual reality in mind from the ground up.
It's not just VR headsets making waves at E3. This is Control VR, a prototype rig which can convert hand and arm movements into accurate on-screen movements. Developed for military technology, its inertial sensors are so accurate individual finger wiggles can be processed seamlessly. So, technology which was a failure in the 20th century certainly looks like it could find a home in the 21st.
Mark Chislak. And while we wait for Oculus, Sony and the like to get their high-powered headsets up and running, how about this? Something a lot cheaper, but just as cheerful. This is the Vrismo VR headset, and you will notice that you can see the two lenses through there, which means at the moment there's no display in front of it. That is because the display is your smartphone, which you stick on the front like that. And there we go. Now each game that you play on this is obviously a special app which renders the visuals into two separate images, one for each eye. And I have to say the experience isn't bad. The resolution of the screen on this phone is fine, and well, the experience isn't far off some of the higher end VR headsets that I've tried. The advantage of this setup is that if you upgrade your smartphone, for example, to an even higher res screen, you do get better visuals in your VR headset for, well, no extra expense. Oh, there's a zombie. Now there you are. Now, you might think that most of the environments that you can explore with VR would be computer-generated worlds, but there's actually a lot of talk about these headsets being able to drop you into the real world too. A sporting event, for example, or a tech conference, if you can't afford the hotel bills. But before you can display the world in 360 degrees, you have to work out how to capture it first. And Richard Taylor has been to see a couple of companies who are doing just that.
Imagine, if you will, it's been a long, hard day at work. Simply plug in, kick back, and transport yourself to an idyll of your choosing. Perhaps you'll head to the tropics. Maybe you'll marvel at the views from America's west coast. And predictably, it's from here that the cinematic VR scene is taking root. With the first camera crew allowed inside the offices of Jaunt, a new Silicon Valley startup making virtual reality very real indeed. The team has painstakingly built a camera rig which allows them to faithfully recreate a filmed scene in full 360-degree video.
The top of the bridge here it's different heights, so we need to also correct for cameras being at slightly different angles.
Using advanced software to stitch it all together, the clip can be fed to me in 3D through my headset, accompanied by simulated 3D sound. Though the pictures are a little fuzzy, I do feel incredibly immersed, temporarily able to suspend disbelief. This is all about creating a sense of presence, and I really do feel like I'm in this scene. And that's why it feels slightly strange that when I look down, I don't see my legs. That's very weird. What's the end game for this, do you think?
Well, I think the end game is really this, that people will spend part of their day sort of virtually teleported, if you will, place shifted, where they maybe take a class online. They think about their vacation and they then say, oh, maybe I'll try that hotel. They put it on and now suddenly they're poolside that hotel.
Unlike some of the other scenes that I've just witnessed where I'm just passively observing, there's an actual storyline going on here. I can see an alien appearing here, there's someone over there as well, and I have to confess I'm not sure entirely where to look. VR presents many technical headaches too, and not just simulation sickness for users moving too quickly. Observers of the new medium say producing content also poses unique challenges.
Because you're recording in 360 degrees, you're not able to move the camera, you're not able to have a place to hide the crew. So you need to develop new cinematic techniques in order to tell the story that you want to tell.
Which is precisely what they're doing at another Silicon Valley VR pioneer, Condition 1. This is the maiden flight of its custom-built octocopter. It's carrying a prototype 360-degree camera rig. Not only does it solve the problem of having a crew on set, it also opens the doors to new frontiers entirely.
Really, you want to explore the worlds you're in. And so we think it's really important to be able to move the camera through space, whether that's on an octocopter or a land-based drone, and give that sense of presence and immersion.
Well, right now it feels like I'm being transported in a virtual chariot through the halls of E3. It's quite amazing that I can see people in 3D in front of me.
And if I look hard enough, I can even see that's Spencer Kelly.
Richard Taylor immersing himself in reality. Okay, back to the chaos of E3 in a moment after we check out what's been happening elsewhere in the world.
Google has announced it plans to buy satellite startup Skybox Imaging for $500 million. The company, which Click featured in May, provides high-definition video and still imagery of Earth using its own low-cost satellite setup. Google says it's planning to use the Skybox data to keep its mapping service up to date and eventually could use it to improve internet access and help disaster relief efforts. Mozilla, the company behind the Firefox web browser, has unveiled a smartphone with a price tag of just £15. The device is slated to go on sale in India within the next few months, according to the company. Mozilla makes the operating system running on the device called Firefox OS and already has several sub-$100 smartphones on sale in Europe and Latin America running the software. And finally, Google has admitted it, and not aliens or spies, was behind the WebDriver Torso YouTube videos. The tens and thousands of unusual clips prompted an investigation by Click and perplexed sleuths across the internet. Click originally questioned the company back in May, but it wasn't until the upload of this Rick Astley-themed video that Google decided to fess up. The mysterious rectangles are, in fact, random YouTube quality testing. The search for extraterrestrial life continues.
The virtual reality developers are all keen to sell the idea of immersive gaming, and that's why it's so huge here at E3 this year. But we've come across one piece of kit that aims to give gamers not just a visually immersive experience, but one which stimulates the whole body. I've used gaming vests before, and most of them cover your entire torso with inflatable air pockets to prod you wherever you're being prodded, or more likely in my case mortally wounded, in the game. But the 4D FX haptic gaming vest does something different. It uses just two devices called haptic transducers to pipe sounds into your chest and let you feel the noise from the game.
I can feel my heart going, but it's not really my heart. It's all fake.
This box is the brains of the vest. It plugs into your device's audio output and uses just the stereo sound to calculate the type of vibration to use and which direction the sound should be coming from. Yeah, that's pretty immersive, I'll give you that. You can certainly feel the noises, the gunfire, the footsteps as they happen, and you do get a sense of which direction they're coming from. And even when there's not actually much going on in the game, just this kind of rumbling that you get in your chest certainly adds to the feeling of tension. And because the vest plugs into the headphone sockets, it's pretty universal and will work with any device that has one. In fact, you can even listen to music while you're wearing it, if you really want to. I can't say it's made me a better player, but, well, it certainly makes me dislike losing Just that little bit more.
I've been shot. Oh no, I've been shot. Ooh, that's quite tense.
And now back to more serious business at E3, and Microsoft's press event kicked off with the new Xbox head honcho making its console intentions clear.
Today, we're dedicating our entire briefing to games.
And indeed it was.
Time for some surprises.
With crowd-pleasing efforts like the latest in long-running role-playing series Fable Legends, a multiplayer-focused sequel with elements of a strategy game. The Master Chief is back, but in old adventures, as the first 4 first-person shooters which featured the futuristic super soldier receive a high-definition Xbox One makeover to be re-released as the Master Chief Collection. Fans of the Chief will have to wait until 2015 for Halo 5 Guardians. Apart from a brief glimpse of a new Tomb Raider game, the event was solid, but it lacked surprises. Meanwhile, Mark was over at the Sony event, where it wasn't just all about the games.
Sony showcased its PS Now streaming service, announcing it will be added to some of its smart TVs, allowing them to stream old games from cloud servers without the need for a console.
Go!
On the gaming front, Sony showed off horror-inspired third-personer The Order 1886. And we got a taste of the platforming, multiplayer, user-generated cutesy levels of Little Big Planet 3. As well as the stunning visuals and massive scope of giant sci-fi adventure No Man's Sky. Sony's showing was strong and diverse. This is the second year Nintendo hasn't thrown an E3 press event, choosing a video presentation instead, which is a shame, as the House of Mario showed off a new open-world adventure for fan-favourite character Link with Zelda Wii U, a title which Nintendo's console could well do with to help it combat arch-rivals Sony and Microsoft.
Now, these technology conferences are all well and good, but my goodness, there's a lot of walking involved. If only someone would turn the walking experience into a game. Well, here you go. These shoes are fitted with something called Boogio. There is a sensor under each insole and a box on the side. Together they measure pressure and acceleration and send that through Bluetooth to, well, any device you want. The raw data about how I'm standing is all being streamed to this tablet, for example, and you can kind of see how your walk, your run, your jump, even your kick can all be translated into in-game movements. And the Boogio creators have brought this to E3 to try and get some ideas from developers on what kind of applications this could be used for. So here's a simple pedometer. Here's a surfing type game where you have to adjust your balance to stay in the tube as you descend. And this thing will also work with more complex games and will work with Oculus Rift, of course, because everything here at E3 does, and Google Glass too. Well, there's plenty of quirky things on the show floor here at E3, so let's catch up with Mark Chislak and Richard Taylor to see what they found.
Behind me is a system called Hypersound. It's speakers which send directed audio to a specific spot. I'll demonstrate. If I stand here, you can hear the speakers. However, if I stand over here, you can't hear them. It makes use of an ultrasound beam to achieve such pinpoint accurate audio. So accurate, in fact, that anybody who's stood outside of the audio sweet spot, well, they can't hear a thing.
Tracking your motion and your gestures, not using a Microsoft Kinect console camera or even a PC, but your smartphone. As you can see behind me, it's tracking 50 points on my body, and up to 6 people can appear in frame at any one time. The way it works is that a chip in the camera passes a signal through to my handset via a cable or a dock, and that's then transmitted back out to a TV. Google's announced Project Tango. This could give it some competition.
Despite what you see here at E3, computers aren't the only game in town. The Football World Cup is now well underway, as Bob and Stormy will testify. And that's football, all right? It's called football. Thank you, not soccer. And if you want the perfect way to connect with fans and enjoy the tournament, Kate Russell has the ideal destination next in Webscape.
Rio has always been a colourful city, but right now it's flying the flags of the world as Brazil hosts the World Cup. Big sporting events like this really benefit from the second screen experience. And at Sport Lobster, you can connect to Fan Zone, a social space for sporting fans of every flavour.
Tell the app which sports, teams and events you follow, and it will connect you with like-minded fans from your networks, as well as some big sporting celebs like Michael Owen, Giorgio Chiellini and Cristiano Ronaldo.
With free apps for Android and iOS, you can chat with other fans, read blogs and articles and get live match data throughout the series. Of course, the big social platforms aren't going to miss the World Cup bandwagon. Facebook is battling for social striker spot with an interactive hub, feeding the latest scores and highlights from matches, as well as posts from friends, players and teams. While tweeting tournament junkies can sign up for some Dream Team action with a special World Cup profile tool. Just head to twitter.com/i/t/World Cup to set it up, and you'll unlock custom profile images, header photos, real-time scores and highlights, and a bunch of good people to follow throughout the World Cup series. If you're the unsociable type and just want to know when the matches are, at worldcupkickoff.com you can subscribe to a daily email reminder or download the desktop and mobile calendar, which integrates with your regular calendar for minimum digital fuss.
Sun comes up today at 6:42. It'll set tonight at 11:30. Gain of daylight 1 minute 48 seconds from yesterday.
Somewhere in the world, the sun is rising. And where the sun rises, there is breakfast radio, playing its cheery mix of music, chatter and travel bulletins to get the world out to work. Global Breakfast Radio is a fun idea that lets you tune in to 24 hours of radio that follows the sunrise around the globe.
The site's creators have gathered more than 250 stations from every time zone on the planet. They include a German Oompa music station, a kids channel from Russian Siberia, and a Chamorro station featuring indigenous music from a small village in Guam, which has been broadcasting since 1954.
You're listening to Shocking Vibes Radio with me, your host, DJ Militant.
It's really fascinating to hear what different people around the world are listening to in the morning, and offers a snapshot of the local news and issues in that location.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News.
Now, I just need to find a good excuse to eat bacon sandwiches all day long too.
It takes no match to give me a spark.
Fed up with the football? Minecraft's creator has released a new game, of sorts, Cliff Horse. It took just 2 hours to code, and gameplay involves controlling a horse to chase a ball around a mountainous landscape. That's it. With an early access download fee in the virtual currency Dogecoin requested on the site, many suspect that this is a dig at this growing practice on platforms like Steam. You can download Cliff Horse without making a payment though, and while it is probably meant to be ironic, it's strangely compelling.
Thank you, Kate. And that's it from E3 and Los Angeles for this week. After all, it'd be a bit rude not to hang around and bring you more from this part of the world. And so next week we'll bring you another click from California. In the meantime, you can get your full fix from us at our website, bbc.co.uk/click. And if you'd like to comment on the games and the hardware that you've seen today, then tweet us at bbcclick or email click@bbc.co.uk. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.